and the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and it is Saturday, and you know what that means. It's time for all the toy news, action figure news of the week that interested me, that hopefully interests you, and got a lot of toy news to dissect this week with some commentary along the way. Always give a little bit of commentary, but there can be some harsh opinions maybe along the way on this one. We'll see what happens. It depends how I feel, Todd McFarlane. But first, before we get to the toy news, we got to, of course, do a few plugs here. We got to thank Jay'sToysAndGames.com for sponsoring this very video. Head over to Jay'sToysAndGames.com. Use code Kyle. Save yourself 15% on all in-stock items. Got to get a deal out there. You guys know the drill by now. You got to plug the Patreon. You know we're plugging holes over here, Todd McFarlane. Patreon, this month's giveaway, it is Peacemaker John Cena via McFarlane Toys. Also, anybody that signs up for my Patreon, be it a free or paid member, gets their name thrown in the hat for the Jazwares Vault exclusive Briscoe brothers, Jay and Mark Briscoe. More Jazwares talk in a little bit here, Todd McFarlane. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So you do have that option. And then tomorrow in weekly purchases, I am giving away the Superman figures, part of the X giveaway. I'll have an Instagram giveaway here in the next couple of weeks, so make sure you're following me on Instagram as well. But all kinds of stuff over on the Patreon. You get early access to my podcast, every video on this channel, every video on my second channel, early access to all of those, a monthly bonus video, glamour shots across the board, and best of all, you support the channel. You guys know how that goes. So check out the Patreon if you have not already. But that is the housekeeping this week for the toy news. Let's get down to the toy news. How about? It's a big news out of the Jazwares camp this week, as good friend of the channel, the man that wrote the foreword to my Jakks Classic Superstars book, check that out if you haven't already. Jeremy Padawer is promoted to President of the United States, Todd McFarlane. Yes, the United States. He took over for Donald Trump, and you know, I'd vote for Jeremy. He'd get my vote. He's a good friend. Maybe I could get a member. I could be a member of the cabinet. Maybe. We'll see what happens there. But no, not President of the United States. He's the president of Jazwares going forward. I believe it was a husband and wife duo that was steering the ship, and I don't think it really said in the article of why they were stepping down or removed. I think retirement, probably. Obviously, you're a CEO, you make some big bucks, you should probably retire early. That's what I would do if I was them. Either way, Jeremy steps into the president, or steps in as the president over there at Jazwares. Got to say it's deserved. I'm a big Jeremy fan going a long way back to Classic Superstars. Even the He-Man stuff, Once Upon a Time, 2000X. So kudos to Jeremy out there, but with that brings discussion about AEW and Jazwares. Where do we go here? And want to talk a little bit about that because I think there's some points that nobody has been making about the AEW Jazwares partnership. Let's call it that right now. Now, we do know Jeremy has put on social media, hey, we're making Jazwares figures through 2026. To me, that means there's ongoing negotiations that are happening right now in 2026. We're not seeing a lot of new product revealed. You know, we got the Tanahashi. I think it's the last thing we saw. That is a ringside exclusive coming in the late fall, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And we've seen Walmart and Target, especially Target right now, basically removing all AEW figures from the pegs. Now, one thing to note about that is we've seen that in the past. That just means there's no product coming to Targets right now. And they always do a refresh around late March, early April or so as far as the planograms go. And we've seen them historically get back in those. Now, who's to say that happens this time? We're not exactly sure. But we've seen items and we've seen lines off the pegs when it's just a weird in-between time. So that is hopefully what's going on with Jazwares. I'm not sure, though. Where there's smoke, there's fire, as we always do say. So no planograms at Target. Walmart on life support. A lot of stores not carrying them at all. You're probably one of those stores. I'm sure somebody will say it in the comments. So on life support over there. No new stuff over at Ringside. And Ringside probably selling the most amount of Jazwares figures for the most part. It's not looking good, but I think a lot of it has to do with the negotiations. But the one point I don't think anybody has talked about, I haven't seen it, nobody's come to me with it here, and let's flip the script a lot on this one, as a lot of people seem to be blaming Jazwares. Where's the figures? Jazwares. Well, let's flip it around. AEW. Where's AEW in all of this? And I can tell you from my personal daily business dealings, prices are going up. People are wanting more money than ever before. I think that goes with like streaming rights and stuff. We see that with the WWE going to ESPN and all points in between. UFC going to Paramount. People are paying up. People are wanting more money than ever before for their products. And I have a feeling AEW is in that exact same boat. And I think it's one of those things where we're just going to say Tony Khan, which he's probably got 1 million employees for him. I get it. But we'll just say Tony Khan, AEW. They're sitting there saying, hey, we're the #2 wrestling federation. We're on the rise. We got TV shows. We got pay-per-views. We've got the best performers. We got all this momentum. You know, we own the Jacksonville Jaguars. We own some soccer team over there somewhere. We deserve more than our fair share on these things. And they're probably coming to Jazwares. Hey, Jazwares, it's negotiation time. You want to step up to the plate? You want some of this hot brand? Well, guess what? You're going to have to pay up for it. And Jazwares sitting over there, knowing Jeremy, now the president, is a wrestling fan. So he's like, hey, I'm ready to negotiate. I'm ready to listen. I want to make wrestling figures. This is how I'm going. This is just what my speculation is here. You get Jeremy saying, hey, I'm all in. I want to support the AEW brand. I want to make figures. I'm going to keep doing this. And Tony Khan sitting on the other end of the table says, hey, I'm in. We want to make figures too. But guess what? Here was the old thing. We're raising the price. If you want our brands, you want to be able to make our brands, you're going to have to pay us X. And Jazwares, at the end of the day, Jeremy's like, man, I love wrestling. I'm passionate about wrestling, but I also like my job, and I want to keep my job as long as I can. And the dollars got to make sense on this one. That's what it is. The dollars have to make sense. And Jeremy's sitting there with the old school calculator hitting that, and the reels of paper are coming out, and he's trying to do the math and the break even. And Jeremy, unfortunately, is having to say, hey, we love Jazwares over here, but unfortunately, you don't have the star power in AEW that's going to move the needle. Yes, there's stars over there. I love me some FTR. I love me some MJF. I love a lot of the talent over there. There's a lot of great stuff going on in Jazwares. But if you look at it straight on, who has the name recognition? Who has the name value? Obviously, WWE over AEW all day long. And then you break down the stars. Okay, you know, Roman Reigns, the top star. He goes against MJF. Who wins in the public's eye? Who's the wrestler in public's eye? I mean, they're going Roman Reigns every single day. And I have a feeling AEW is sitting back there saying, hey, here's the deal. We need more money for this. And Jazwares is unfortunately saying, we can't do it because we can't break even on this. You know, as much as we love the Jungle Boy, and I love the Luchasaurus myself, but as much as people love Jungle Boy, he's not going to set the world on fire on the pegs. Yes, you'll sell 1, maybe 2 out there at your Walmart, your local Walmart out in the country or something like that. But guess what? Cody Rhodes is going to sell 100 to everyone, and probably more than that for Jack Perry. So I think it comes down to dollars and cents once again. And we're not talking cents as in coin. We're talking about cents up here. Jazwares is probably, now once again, this is just me throwing this out here, putting on the business hat. I think Jazwares is like, hey, we want to continue to make these, but it has to make sense. And you're wanting too much for your product. And maybe Jazwares even saying, hey, we paid this last time. We need to pay you less this time if you want to keep this relationship going, because we can't afford this. Time is money, costs, and everything that goes on with getting on the planograms at Target and Walmart. You got to be turning and burning units. If you're not turning and burning units, guess what? You're going to be off that planogram real quick. I can tell you that firsthand. So I think there's a lot of that going on. Jazwares saying, hey, we'll do these for you still, but we're not going to pay what we once did. And I can see Tony Khan at AEW saying, we want more money than ever before. You're at an impasse. We got roughly, I don't know, let's say 6 months to make that negotiation. Whether or not it happens, I guess we'll have to get the old magic 8-ball out. But it doesn't look good for the future. To me, the future looks like they're at an impasse. It won't go that way. I could see ringside like they did with TNA and Unsanctioned Classic Superstars. Maybe every once in a blue moon, once or twice a year, part of the unsanctioned line, they make an AEW talent. They say, hey, whoever there at AEW, Tony Khan, let's just use his name. We want to make an FTR figure. What's it going to take? They let them just make the FTR and you get a figure that way. I don't think we're going to have a dedicated line. And as much as we want to believe in the Jazwares brand and AEW Jazwares, it's just not going to happen, I don't think, anymore going forward. It's just the juice isn't worth the squeeze at the end of the day. Unless you're Orange Cassidy, of course. And I don't foresee anybody picking it up. Unless wild card from the couch, Todd McFarlane gets a wild hair and says, I can do this. Maybe that could happen. Playmates, you know, Turtles going away. Could they go to Playmates? I don't see that either. I don't see Hasbro or Mattel, obviously not Mattel, jumping in. So I think Jazwares is going to be a toy line without a home is what it is, or the other way around. AEW is going to be a wrestling organization without a home very soon. We'll get the major bendies or big rubber guys every once in a while. You might get something from ringside, and I think really that's going to be it. I think we're going to say sayonara It's going to be kind of sad, but at the end of the day, it's got to make sense, as we do know. And I don't think it makes sense for Jazwares to carry on this relationship. And I think they're kind of the fallout bad guys, like putting to blame there. But AEW just is probably too expensive and wanting more than what Jazwares can do for them. I don't know. That's my idea. That's my thought. That's my business hat theory this week. And I don't think anybody else has said that either. Everybody's blaming and complaining about Jazwares, but they're not complaining about AEW maybe trying to charge more than what they're actually worth. So do with that what you will. But we got more news this week here. We got a SummerSlam line over there at Ringside Collectibles, pivoting right here. Head over to Ringside, use code Kyle, save yourself 10%. Triple H, China, Mankind, Stone Cold Steve Austin, shipping right now from Ringside Collectibles. A heavy hitter set, no doubt about it. But for me personally, bring on the Ventura. I'm ready for old man Jesse Ventura, which I guess he's even older man Jesse Ventura right now. But back in, SummerSlam 99, he was Governor Ventura at the time. And I cannot wait to get, especially Mankind coming with two heads, if I'm not mistaken, for Ventura. You put one on the referee, obviously you got to do that. But I got to find a good suited body somewhere in my collection, and I got to get a Governor Ventura figure. Absolutely next level. I'm here for that. I'm very excited about this wave. Should be at my doorstep next week, but in a plot twist, I got work travel next week, so I won't be able to unbox those for a while. So stay tuned in the future here, but get me all the Jesse Venturas. Now we got an Ultimate Edition. This will be his first Elite with the Build-A-Figure. We got, of course, the Retro. Hopefully a WWE Superstars one of these days. And then we're waiting on the Ultimate. It sounds like, we talked about it last week. Nothing happened with it. It looks like that has been moved for whatever reason to February. So we're going to have to wait just a little extra long for our Jesse Ventura Ultimate. But that one, I'm probably buying at least 2, possibly 3 of those. Hopefully they're in stock shipping immediately. Can't wait to get some more Ventura in the collection. And like I said, bring on the Superstars. And there's so many different Elites. I know he's in the next Legend set, but there's a lot of Elite money on the bone for meat on the bone for Jesse Ventura. We'll see where that ends up going here sooner rather than later. But moving on to a few other toy lines here. How about Title Run Toys? Last week, as I was filming, I believe, they did announce a Lodi WCW Retro figure. I guess you're building out your flock. Can we get Stevie Richards? I guess we got Perry Saturn coming from Figure Collections. We got Raven from Zombie Sailor. So we're getting there. We need some Van Hammer. We need, Ron Reese? We need Riggs. Can we get the rest of the flock? Stranger things have happened, so we got those around the corner. Matt Maniacs with a little bit of a surprise this week with Rick the Model Martel, Jake the Snake Roberts 2-pack coming. I think they said pre-order here in the next month or two, March, April timeframe. A very classic feud way back in the day. I never forget that Brother Love show. It was on the Brother Love show where the arrogance got sprayed in Jake's eye. I thought for sure as a kid, man, a lot of this stuff isn't on the up and up, but I think Jake is really blind. Did you see his eye? It didn't look good. It looked like the girl from the Beyond. We're on a Fulci kick around this parts lately. Watch my podcast. Talking a lot of Fulci, and the real ones know about the Fulci. But I'm working my way through all those movies again. Long story, not for this video here, but I'm excited for the Matt Maniacs line. The Matt Maniacs line is a lot of fun. I've enjoyed all of their figures. The only watch out, and I think I talked about that in my 2026 prediction video, is they could feel too samey, especially as the line grows and we add characters. You're getting the same exact body styles, basically with different heads and painted differently. I think we got to get some new molds in there, or it's going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, Jake and Rick are great, but it's like LOD, Demolition, The Major Player, all these other ones we've seen. So they got to innovate, constant learning, constant improvement. They came out of the gate very hot with some amazing stuff, but they got to change some things and mix up some things and improve some things like all the other toy brands. So we'll see where Matt Maniacs goes throughout 2026. One interesting one we saw this week is KWK. Of course, Club KWK, much like Club Grayskull, you got to wear your collared shirt. You get welcomed right in. They say, hey, you come on in here. You got that collared shirt on. You're ready to go. That's why I'm wearing my collared shirt here today. And they did show off Flash Funk. He is so funky, as we do know. And they did announce, full transparency here from Sean over there at KWK, that they're losing money on every unit of Flash Funk that is being produced. Now, Todd, you and I, two great businessmen, two salt of the earth guys, we both put our heads together and we debated this for an hour, but that's not a really good business decision to be losing money. However, the old saying, and Todd, you reminded me that, but you did it with sign language using your toes, which took me about 4 hours to interpret. But, it takes money to make money. And sometimes you got to lose a little bit of money to move yourself to the next thing. So you look at it as an investment. Obviously, I don't think Sean KWK is going to lose the money on every single figure, but he's going to take a little bit of step back, make this the best quality it can. Hopefully it proves itself to everybody, the consumer being everybody. And in the future, it makes more people buy the brand. So I think that is the plan without talking to Sean. But a very cool Flash Funk. He is so funky, as we do know. I've met him quite a few times over the years. So I'm excited for this. Flash Funk and Too Cold Scorpio before that. Names, what's in a name, as they say. An absolute favorite of my childhood. So I'm very excited about this one. And a lot of the extra work that's going into this Flash Funk with the glitter being hand painted, hand applied, and it's not going to scrape off. It's not going to fall off. I think that's a pretty cool deal. So I can't wait to see the little Flash Funk in the collection. It'll be interesting to see where we go with KWK throughout the year. Bring on Dory Funk. I'm waiting for Dory Funk Jr. too. But not done with Club KWK. We referenced it earlier. They're going to a new system here in 2026 where Club KWK members, if you got your collared shirt on, you get a month early access to ordering, buying the figures. After that, the rope's open for everybody. All the commoners get to come in, and that's what happens. The commoners come in, and then they clean it out. But once again, as we say all the time, guess what? Like we talked about Jazwares AEW, we're talking about all these toy lines every week. Follow the money. It's the greatest thing Jesse Ventura ever said, I think. Maybe that and I Ain't Got Time to Bleed. One of those two. But follow the money at the end of the day. Sean at KWK doesn't want to sit with a bunch of product just waiting for new Club KWK members. I mean, let's say there's 100 people in this club. Let's just throw that number out. It's an easy, fair number. And, there's 50 items available and he sells 30. He's got 20 sitting around. What's he going to do? Just wait for 10 years to get new Club KWK members that may be interested? This way, it gives those members a head start, an early chance, and then the rope opens and everybody comes in. It's a party after hours. That's what it is. So, I don't know. As they say, the first one of the party begins the party or something. Isn't that how it goes, Todd McFarlane? That's what Todd told me earlier. But it's an interesting thing. I think that makes all business and sense. It's about making sense this week here. Continuing making sense, Epic Toys. You guys remember them? The retro toy line, some fantastic figures, some of the best figures last year. I'm still loving that Dr. Death figure. We need more Dr. Deaths. Barbarian, they've had a lot of good stuff. We did see the Islanders and Killer Bees Part Due. Yes, Part Due, like Hot Shots Part Due, coming very soon. They are being shipped out. So 2 more tag teams from Epic Toys. Can't wait to see what Epic Toys has for us in the future. Hopefully they keep coming out with some stuff. I guess I'm more excited for the Islanders since we haven't had them from them yet. We've already had the Killer Bees, but now we got them with jackets. Like classic superstars all over again, Todd McFarlane. That's what it's like. But we got those coming around the corner. We saw Zombie Sailor and Zombie Sailor toys this week in the Heels and Faces line. PJ Polaco, a.k.a. Aldo Montoya, a.k.a. the Portuguese Man of War. Is that correct? Why? Todd doesn't know his wrestling. Why do I defer to him? I need to find a friend over here. And Mark Summers, MIA once again this week. He just pops in every once in a while. We got Aldo Montoya around the corner. Not sure how well that one will sell. I guess we'll see. I think Just Incredible would sell better personally, but we'll see. People want Aldo for the new Gen Arena, maybe. I don't know. And we also saw Silent Hill figures announced from Zombie Sailor Toys. Now, Silent Hill, a video game. I saw the first movie. I never played the video game. I never saw any of the other movies. So you can imagine I'm not too excited for this, but I do know it is a popular franchise. And that's one of those things, constant learning, constant improvement. It's all about getting your wares out to different people, making knowledge of, hey, we're not just a wrestling company. We're doing this. But at the same time, you got to be careful. Wrestling brought you to the dance. You can't let go of your wrestling credentials. You can't drop the ball on your wrestling fan base to make Silent Hill figures in this example here. So Zombie, I'm sure, has it all figured out. Of course, he's got his business hat on real tight, but he's expanding the model over to Silent Hill. Army of Darkness figures should be here very soon. I did pre-order those. Very excited to see those in hand as well. How about our friends over there at Latuni? I got a ton of Latuni videos lately. I got a bunch of them on Patreon right now as you're watching this, but Latuni coming in hot with their Hasbro style series, SummerSlam 89 Macho Man Randy Savage. Now, I will say I love the positioning of the body style in this Macho Man because that is probably my favorite Hasbro playability. I love Rick Martel, I love the Macho Man, love Shawn Michaels, a lot of good playability. But once again, I would have liked to see the new body mold style, but at least it is a Macho Man one. It's one we're familiar with, so I guess it does make sense. A lot of Macho Man fans out there that'll probably jump in on this along the way. So if you're after that, that will be coming to Latuni. We also saw a better head, constant learning, constant improvement, taking feedback, expanding. making a better sculpt of the Andre the Giant upcoming figure. So we saw that. And then right as I was filming on Friday, from their Everest series, which I do have an unboxing on Patreon right now for the Everest Macho Man, we're getting Andre the Giant. 13 inches of Andre the Giant. You think you could take 13 inches with your eyes closed? Okay, he could. With his eyes closed, though. We got Andre the Giant Everest Edition coming to the Latuni line to go with the Macho Man, to go with your, I think they're coming out with Demolition, and of course we do know the Road Warriors LOD on those as well. We also saw a surprise in-stock drop. I don't think this was ever announced or anything. It was just on their website. It is Kurt Sloan, Kickboxer. It is, of course, Kickboxer or Bloodsport. Now I'm getting confused here. Kickboxer, Blood. I always get those two movies confused all the time. I think it's, it's one of those two. Bloodsport, I think. Now I'm second guessing myself. Either way, Kurt Sloan is up there. He's going to dance. He's going to shuffle. I did order the original figure of Kurt Sloan. I keep wanting to say Jean-Claude Van Damme as well. But the bloody version is up on Collect Major right now. So if you're after the bloody version of that, in stock, shipping out right now, you can have it in your hands in a couple of days. How about that? And now that, and then I almost forgot. How dare I forget this one? Regime this week. Of course, Grapplers and Gimmicks, Hassel Toys, and then his Regime line. We got 3 more announcements of figures I think we knew were coming, but we saw some images this week of one Sean Mooney, one Alfred Hayes, and of course, Kurt Fuller from No Holds Barred. So 3 suited figures. I'm here for it. All 3 of those, once again, plug holes in the collection. I am here for that. So we'll stay tuned to that, see how the images continue to go, and the pre-order model. Don't forget that. But we're not done. It's time for the Power Town update.
Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering?
All right, time for the Power Town update, but a quick little asterisk. Kurt Sloan, Kickboxer. There you go, the Kickboxer Kurt Sloan. But it's time for a Power Town update. Grab some popcorn, settle in, as we got a lot to talk about, or not a lot to talk about. Pick your poison on that one. But we did hear about from Power Town this week. It was Friday Fun Days there at the office, which is kind of wild to me. They're having all these parties, the big New Year's party. We went to the board meeting a couple of weeks ago. But apparently they're going to do a thing for team morale. But what about customer morale? That's what I'm wondering about with Power Town. But they're trying to get the team morale going on. And they're having Friday Fun Days. And I thought it was really interesting. And I did get some video because it's not too far from my house. It's not too far from my office, actually, where I work every day. Down the road is the Power Town offices. A lot of people don't know that. So I stop by, I look, see what's going on, and dare I spy through a window a time or two. But Friday Fun Days over there at Power Town, I thought was really interesting this Friday. It is open container. They could drink whatever they want. I saw Magnum cracking a couple of beers in the back. It was a wild scene. But they had Friday Fun Day, and it kicked off with one Steven Rosenthal putting on a Fun Day performance. After that performance was done, I could only play a little bit of it for copyright reasons. Steve said, I hope you guys got everything I was saying, because I just gave everybody the plans for the future of Power Town and fulfilling the orders. So we got all of that from that message. Some of you guys might want to try to decode that, put it at different speeds, maybe play it backwards, something like that. But all the answers were apparently in that little clip from Steve Rosenthal singing and dancing on Fun Day Fridays. But we weren't done. That's when Greg Gagne came in, and he was in a rage. You know how he gets.
Greg Gagne, and I'm in a rage. I want Brody, and I want him in a cage.
But after Greg was done, you wouldn't believe it. They said, hey, there's nothing funner on Friday than a little chips and salsa, a little enchilada action. They were going to have a salsa night, and they brought in one of the most famed groups of all time. You know them. You remember them. They brought in the girls from Las Ketchup. Las Ketchup, and those that don't speak Spanish like Todd McFarlane on the couch, I believe that translates to the ketchup, if I'm not mistaken. They performed, they wowed a lot of people, especially me. Loved that performance. That was worth going to. But the crown jewel of the night was an amazing closer to the night of Friday Fun Day, and everybody went home and on their way for the long weekend after that, and it was one Conan. Yes, Conan! He wowed the audience in ways I haven't seen since Rico Suave and Gerardo once upon a time. So Conan lit the place on fire. Friday Fun Day commenced, and all the answers were there for Power Town, or possibly zero answers, zero communication. And this week, there was a lot of communication out there in the Facebook groups, especially the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast Facebook group. Cheap plug for them. But there was a lot of discussion of people trying to get refunds from their credit card. I tried to dabble in this like 8 months ago, and it was just too late. It was too long to get that, and using Shop Pay and everything. It was just a whole fiasco. So I'm rolling the dice, just hoping for the best. Magnum, Greg, Steve, they've never let me down before. Why would they let me down this time? But a lot of people are very unsuccessful getting a refund because the time's been too long. You got the free figures thrown in the mix there where it shows things were serviced. It's just a whole, dare I say, conspiracy, Jesse Ventura style.
I wonder if they're watching your every move. Cell phones, internet, surveillance. Think about it.
And as usual, follow the money. And I think we know where the money went. It went to the Friday Fun Days at the Power Town office because unfortunately for us, we're not getting anything. As we talked about, I think it was last week or the week before, I think they showed those Remco images. You know, Magnum had those out there on the table showing them off. That was a way hoping to convince people to get some more pre-orders so they can meet their minimum order requirements. I fully believe that nothing has been produced at all. Nothing at all has been produced from any of the lines, including Remco. They got the samples made. They never got past that point. I don't know. I think they'll just waltz away with the money, unfortunately. I don't know if somebody's going to do a class action lawsuit. I've had about 4 people reach out to me via email saying they're going to do this. And I said, hey, I'll sign my name to it if you want to start one up, if you want to do the work, get the lawyer and all that kind of stuff. I just don't know if anybody's out enough money. Maybe there's a company, like a third-party company, like our friends Jay's Toys and Games. I know they didn't order them, but let's say they ordered, 30 of each figure. They'd be out a heck of a lot of money. It's going to take somebody like that, I think, to start a class action lawsuit. And I don't know if anybody ordered in that amounts either. So unfortunately, it's one of those things you got to take on your chin. And as Todd McFarlane, you told me once upon a time, I've taken this one to the bank. You said, Kyle, you got a job, you'll make more money. You'll make more money. You got a job, you'll make more money. And that's easy for a billionaire like Todd McFarlane. But, guys like us that are just paycheck to paycheck every single day, just going down to the soup kitchen trying to feed ourselves. When you're out $1,000 from Power Town, it's not a good look. It's not a fun look either. So where this goes, I think we know nowhere, but we're going to continue to keep it top of mind each and every week, at least talk about it, because we can't let these guys get out scot-free. There you go. But as Jerry Reed always says, all right, let's get down to some other toy news that's not wrestling related, as this was the week of the Masters of the Universe. Did you guys see that trailer? Everybody's excited about it. I'm excited too. I'm a Masters kid going way back. Me and Skeletor, He-Man, Orko, pretty tight as most do know. So I'm excited. This is my childhood. I love He-Man. You've seen me unbox every He-Man thing for the last 5 years on the channel. I'm here. I got high hopes for it. I know some doubters are out there. I think it's going to be good. I hope so. I'm always thinking on the bright side of life like a young Monty Python. But it does look really good. I love that we got classic characters there. Spikor was in there. Of course, Goatman was a nice surprise. Trapjaw, Skeletor, He-Man, Teela, Man-at-Arms. Battle Cat, old Cringer. I think he was Cringer there. It's weird because Cringer should be smaller. So does Battle Cat get even bigger? We'll see where that ends up going. A lot of people are like, why has it always got to be on Earth? Because the last movie, obviously, all on Earth. And I think most people of my generation, if you were a little kid, you just enjoyed He-Man movies. You enjoyed stuff like that. Obviously, is it the greatest movie ever? No. Is it how we wanted our He-Man movie to be back then? No. But it's okay for a period piece. Let's call it a period piece. But this new movie looks pretty good. And people are saying, why does it have to be on Earth? Well, obviously, his mom was from Earth. And it sounds like they were setting it up. Now, once again, Todd McFarlane, I'm using this and this up here in my brain. Because if maybe you know this, maybe you don't. Maybe you're new to the channel, you don't know this yet. Your old buddy Kyle here, yes, me, 1 class away from a minor in film. Yes, it's true. I was 1 class away in college. Film noir is my specialty. Westerns of John Ford, John Wayne. I took a whole semester on those. So I know a thing or two about a movie. But I feel that they're, showing, hey, they're sending him away. It's like Clark Kent, Superman. You send him away to Earth. He grows up on Earth a little bit or whatever, 10 years on Earth, whatever the time is. And then he finds his way back home, defends, all that kind of good stuff. I think the hope is for myself and many others that it's, 20 minutes of Earth and an hour and 10 minutes or whatever of fighting for Castle Grayskull and fighting with everybody else up there where we want the story to take place. I hope that's the case, and I am very nervous a little bit that it's going to spend most time on Earth, and then we're going to get a 20 minutes of a big battle, of course, back on Eternia, and that's all we're going to have. And then what's going to happen, it's going to be just a battle with a few characters, and we're seeing some of these other characters like the Fistos of the world, the Trapjaws of the world. Are we going to see those just at the end of the movie? Like they come and save the day and they set up a sequel. Now, hey, we got all the main characters here in the first movie. Now we're going to bring you back to the dance for the second one with all these characters you love and all that. So we'll see where it goes. And we got 6 months or so until the movie comes. I talk more about it in my podcast this week. Shout out to the Kyle Peterson Show. But we'll see where it goes. I'm very excited for it. I'm a Masters guy. I will be seeing it opening weekend in the theaters. So how about that? But we're not done with Masters. We did see Mondo on Friday. Now, I've talked about this for a long time, like a year and a half or so, as Mondo did say, hey, we're coming back out with this like 2 years ago, whatever it was. Well, the time is finally now. We're finally getting Man-at-Arms back out there from Mondo. So pre-order, I'm sure we'll have more great images next week with pre-order to follow. We know the whole Mondo song and dance, very expensive. You got the Tarif charge, Todd McFarlane. You got tax, you got shipping. You got a lot of expenses with it, but if you're into it, it is coming very soon. And then coming next week to Mattel Creations, we got Blast Attack. So Blast Attack coming, another OG from the Origins line. A lot of people are going to be excited about that one. That'll be over there. Of course, Club Grayskull members, pop your collar. You get into order early. We know how that goes as well. It's keeping it in kind of the masters and the lore of these action figures, we'll call it. We're going over to our friends over there at Savage Crucible. You guys know I love some Savage Crucible. Really enjoying those figures. Very cool in a He-Man kind of feel, Conan kind of feel, Mythic Legions kind of feel. Can work in any of that universe. I just last week got some new stuff with that Komodo dragon. You will have that video on the channel this week as well. But Savage Crucible has an in-stock sale going on right now. So if you're on the fence on some of these, speak now or forever hold your peace. Head over to SavageCrucible.com. Super 7, the Ultimates line, riding again, this time with Tiger Sharks. And I say, what's a Tiger Shark is what I say. I've talked about it in the past. We got Thundercats growing up as a cartoon. Silverhawks was not in my area. So I'd see the toys, I'd see it, and I'd hear about it, but couldn't watch the cartoon, didn't have anything, so I didn't buy any of the figures, as you can imagine. Take Silverhawks, but take it one step further. Apparently there was Tiger Sharks, and I don't know anything about it besides what I learned in science as a kid in elementary. So I know nothing. I have no nostalgia for these, nothing at all. I don't see myself purchasing any of these because I don't know anything. I know zero on these. So those that like it, you're in for a good time. That's what we're going to say. And now we're going to another animal. We're going to a bird, and we're going to NECA. We're going to the Ultimate Edition Sesame Street line. For a big bird, we've seen him a few times. Pre-order's up right now. He should be shipping very soon. This is a pretty awesome one. They even got that Nightmare Fuel original Big Bird head, so you can choose your own Big Bird adventure. If you're an older fan, you can get that older head. You can get the newer head if you're a newer fan, or all points in between. Build an army of Big Birds if you want to. But this is a pretty darn good figure. This could be a top 10 NECA figure 2026. Very nostalgic, even for somebody like me that hated Sesame Street, would never watch it. I do respect the Big Bird. I respect the Big Bird, Todd McFarlane, because he rode shotgun with one Waylon Jennings once upon a time. And if you ride shotgun with Waylon Jennings, you're okay in my book. There's no doubt about it. Now I need somebody to get me a AEW Jazwares Mattel-style head of Waylon Jennings so I can put it on one of those Hangman Adam Page bodies, and I can have Big Bird and Waylon Jennings riding again in 2026. It's got to happen. Somebody get me a Waylon Jennings head. But absolutely love that Big Bird. I will be picking that up, so review to come here on the channel. We also saw Emma Frost, X-Men Target exclusive, the Diamond Translucent Edition for her, coming very soon. Looks good for what it is. It's not a must-have figure, a perfect exclusive for Target. I believe pre-order here in the next couple of weeks, if not next week. And then in the next couple of weeks as well, pre-order for Ghost Rider and the motorcycle. That's the classic Ghost Rider. That's the one I remember seeing in comics when I was a little kid. So I'm here for that. But there's a lot of good Ghost Riders. I guess that's the generation ahead of me, but I did get back issues and stuff. But I always enjoyed 70s Ghost Rider, the look. The blue color really popped for me. Wasn't a 70s kid, though, Todd. I know you were around in the 70s. I wasn't. Didn't get to enjoy the 70s, unfortunately. Would have loved it. Would have loved it, I'm sure. And I also would have loved to report some Todd McFarlane news this week, but there was nothing to talk about. I saw some kind of Gladiator figure. Not even going to talk about it. Never seen Gladiator 2. No plans to either. If it's not Fulci, I'm not watching. And once again, plugging my podcast, I've been working through the Fulci movies. I'd seen the classic horror hits, but I said, I'm going to go in. I'm going to watch the Westerns. I'm going to watch the mob movies. I might dabble in some comedy. So we'll see where the Fulci experiment goes. Stay tuned to the podcast over there. But that is the toy news this week. Nothing else to talk about. We talked about it all, I guess. But let me know your thoughts on the toy news this week. Where do you see this stuff going? What are you hoping to get? What are you going to pick up? Let me know in the comments down below. You made it this far, you might as well thumbs up the video. Always helps the channel. Subscribe to this channel and my other YouTube channel. 2 channels with videos every single day for you. Even more content on Patreon, YouTube channel memberships. Your best way to support the channel, and you get tons of bonus stuff, including early access to my podcast, TheKylePetersonShow at gmail.com, which is the email to the show, but it's also the name of the podcast, available every Tuesday wherever podcasts are found. Of course, also video cast on YouTube. Check it out each and every week. Support the channel, support the podcast, all that fun stuff. Sir Paul64 on the X. Got the X giveaway tomorrow in weekly purchases. _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, of course. And we will do an Instagram giveaway very, very soon, so stay tuned for that. So there it is, another week of the toy news. You know what I'm doing. I'm rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling my way into another weekend.
Well, are we going to dance or are we going to play?